This is a bucket.
Dear God.
There's more.
No.
It contains a bucket.
Dear God.
Scout, seduce me.
You bet.
Excellent. Gentlemen, synchronize your bucket.
Yes.
Yeah. Ours is a mean, dark old world, where some say a man can be whatever he's man enough to be. And together, we bold few, we unnatural brothers, are going to seize Mother Nature by the throat and choke the whole world out of that sorry bitch.
Did you think I'd forget about the bucket? I said I was here to review every weapon, so I'm to make a video on every weapon, and that includes the bucket utility, even though it's not really a weapon, but shh, don't tell anyone. This cutesy little item can of course be purchased from Bubbles. Here is his dialogue on that one.
This is a bucket. It's very useful for putting out fires and extinguishing your fellow countrymen. It's nothing fancy, but I've heard rumors of arsonists burning down entire towns. So take it.
Thank you, Mr. Bubbles. Let's dive right into the bucket, or more importantly, its stats. So it costs roughly 50 francs in the store. As of recording, it's the second cheapest item, right behind the Canteen of Courage. It has a range of 12 by 12 studs in roughly a square. It has a cooldown of 1 second per splash, and a 27-second refill time. And the best part, of course, being it is available for all classes. Now, we shall cover the functionality of the bucket. So what does this cute little thing do? Well, who could have guessed it puts out fires? This includes, but not limited to, fires on teammates, fires placed by igniters, and of course the one in Copenhagen, but we'll get back to that. Of course, to understand why it's useful, let's actually cover what the fire does first. Of course, to understand why it's actually useful, let's cover what fire is first. So, it's usually a map hazard. You can accidentally light yourself on fire with the tar bottle, it can be spawned in by igniters. If you do wish to learn more about igniters, I'll link my zombie guide in the top right. It obviously looks like fire. Duh. If you walk into the fire affected area, you immediately start losing health. It also prevents you from accessing your inventory, which includes equipping any weapons. It automatically unequips. Of course, staying in fire for more than 3 seconds, or dropping a tar bottle on yourself, will cause your character to be engulfed. Both of these effects deal 5 damage per second, though that fire is increased for players wearing the Cuirass or the Siege armor. When engulfed, you cannot put yourself out, and will be burned alive on the floor. To be rescued, another player must either stamp you out, or for a quicker alternative, use the water bucket on you. If you weren't able to escape the blaze before being engulfed, you have gained the Afterburn debuff. With the debuff, you cannot be healed past 50% of your maximum health. It lasts 35 seconds plus the amount of time you are burning for. For example, if you were burning for 10 seconds, the debuff would last 45 seconds. The debuff has an absolute maximum of 50 seconds. Now that we know the threats of fire, we can discuss how the water bucket utility is actually useful. One of the main reasons is, of course, it's really good at removing fire. Unlike stamping out your teammate, the water bucket removes areas of fire as well. I usually use the bucket in 3 quick spurts because it gets rid of the area of effect. It gets rid of the entire area if you use 3 buckets splashes, and it usually allows me to, after I do the 3, I can just instantly recharge the bucket. It can also be used to remove the fire of someone who is about to get engulfed. If you see your teammate walking backwards in that animation, you throw water on them, you can actually save them at the last minute from getting the afterburn effect, which is really good. This happened a few times. And of course, it is quicker to extinguish a teammate with the bucket compared to stamping them out. This can save precious time if a player is already low, as well as players in Cuirass or Siege armor who lose way more health thanks to fire. Otherwise, it is overall just a great utility to take down fires. However, there is one map where this item really suffers, and that is Copenhagen. Oh Pra, Copenhagen is literally burning because the British are firing Congreve rockets into the city. I know, but the bucket starts off empty. It is useless until you get to the water pumping station, where buckets are quite literally provided on the side. Like sure, it saves about 2 seconds maximum, but otherwise there isn't much of a point bringing the bucket to Copenhagen. Like if your teammate sets themselves on fire, either stand them out, or use leftover water from the bucket you picked up at the objective. In short, don't bring the bucket to Copenhagen. Like, obviously if there's nothing else you might as well, but literally any other utility that's useful, not the jack-o'-lantern, is better than the bucket in Copenhagen. Okay, enough crashing out. Now I would like to go over the usefulness of the bucket with the different classes in Guts and Blackpowder. I will go over how useful it is for each class, comparing it to the utilities that are available at the time of making this video. For Infantry, or Rancor, it's alright. It is definitely usable, it is functional with Infantry, and it is a great utility. Without many abilities, it can be a helpful way to aid your team. However, with the fact that Infantry can use grenades and especially tar bottles, it's outclassed. If you want to be more of a supportive Infantry, then the water bucket is for you. That's great. Otherwise, just use tar bottles. They're cool. Area of effect damage is beautiful. Now on to Cuirassier. Mostly the same points as Infantry, with the fact that you want to be able to support your team, you can use the water bucket. However, I believe it has the extra advantage of saving yourself. Since players with the Cuirass burn up far quicker, it might be more recommended for some maps to have the water bucket equipped if you're going as Cuirassier. Get rid of future dangers for yourself. Officer. This class is already a very versatile and supportive class. The water bucket can help you and your team out, adding to the supportive role of Officer. On the other hand though, grenades or especially tar bottles can help you to be more offensive. It's really up to the player on what playstyle they prefer for Officer. However, for the sake of wanting your charge or holdfast meter to go up quicker, I'd suggest the offensive route. Cuirass Officer. Again, similar to the Cuirassier, it is much the same story as Officer. However, of course, you would have the added benefit of removing a hazard that is far more dangerous for yourself and other teammates. But again, it's really up to your playstyle. Now on to Seaman. This class is basically made to be sort of a close range but also a long range class. Of course, in the next update, with tar bottles being able to load into the grenade launcher, it is a far more difficult decision. While it is amazing for an offensive class to have offensive capabilities, do also remember that since you are more or less close ranged, you might be encountering the fire a little more often. But again, it's up to the player's playstyle that really dictates this decision. For Musician, it was only recently changed so they can actually use tar bottles and grenades. This is probably the best route to go as Musician. It gives you that second option for offensive capabilities. Although you're an offensive supportive class, you only have your saber, or hand axe. The tar bottles provide a long-range alternative which can help expand your arsenal and abilities on the battlefield. As for Sapper, it is a different story. While tar bottles or grenades can be great, giving the Sapper an alternative long-ranged weapon, we can consider what igniters can do. Especially on endless maps, one lantern can completely disintegrate a Sapper's defense. I believe out of all the classes we're discussing today, Sapper is probably the one that needs the water bucket the most. It can help save your buildings, which can be a godsend in some stressful parts of maps, as well as helping your teammates. On top of that, if you have the siege armor equipped, similar to the Cuirass classes, it can save you from having extra damage dealt due to fire. For Surgeon, if you've watched my extended Surgeon's Toolkit video, you might know where I'm going with this. While the water bucket is great, and can help you prevent your teammates from getting the Afterburn debuff, the capabilities of the Surgeon's Toolkit are just too good to pass up. Maybe if you can't afford the Surgeon's Toolkit yet, then buy the water bucket, but honestly, it's far more worth it to have the Surgeon's Toolkit equipped. And finally, as of making this video, there are no utilities Chaplain can use other than the water bucket, and the jack-o'-lantern of course, but we aren't counting that. It's a good utility as Chaplain, and since you basically have no offensive or defensive capabilities in terms of actual good competitive weaponry, the water bucket can help you be that little bit more useful for your team. And do not come at me with the exorcism crucifix as a weapon, that thing sucks. So, ladies and gentlemen, the water bucket. In conclusion, it's really only good on Sapper, and I guess Chaplain, but really especially Sapper. Otherwise, I'd suggest the tar bottles or for Surgeon, the extended Surgeon's kit. But, of course, it's always up to you and your playstyle. Thank you for watching as always, ladies and gentlemen, and I'll see you when I see you.